Have you ever looked at someone you love, maybe a parent, a spouse, or even an old friend, and wondered if they were quietly slipping away without anyone noticing? I know, it's not an easy thought, but sometimes the signs are there. Subtle changes, small shifts in behavior, in energy, in presence. And if we're not paying attention, we might miss the chance to give them the care, the comfort, and the dignity they truly deserve. This video isn't meant to scare you. It's meant to help. Because recognizing the signs early could mean more quality time, better decisions, and maybe even a more peaceful goodbye when the time comes. Today, we're going to talk about 5 gentle but serious warnings that an elderly person may be in their final year of life. These signs aren't always loud. In fact, most are quiet, easy to overlook, and often brushed off as just aging. But they matter. Let's start with one of the most telling early signs: withdrawal from social connection. If someone who once enjoyed chatting, watching TV with you, or even just sitting nearby starts pulling away, becoming distant, or uninterested in things they once loved, it's often more than just being tired. It can be a sign that their body and mind are starting to slow down. Sometimes this withdrawal is emotional. Sometimes it's because they're in discomfort but don't want to bother anyone. Either way, don't ignore it. Gently reach out. Be present, even in silence. Another subtle shift: unexplained weight loss. We're not talking about a new diet or a loss of appetite from the flu. This is that slow, steady drop in weight where clothes start to hang looser, belts tighten, or rings slip off fingers. It might seem small at first, but behind it could be a loss of muscle, a decline in organ function, or the body simply not absorbing nutrients as it should. And in older adults, especially over 80, this can be one of the quietest red flags that their systems are winding down. When you start to notice these first signs, it's time to tune in closely, because what happens next often speaks volumes, sometimes without a single word. Before we get into this, do me a small favor. If you're someone who values real, no-nonsense health talk that respects your age and your body, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. It helps the channel grow, and it lets me know you're finding this content helpful. And if you're still watching after this intro, drop a quick 2 in the comments so I know you're here for part 2. It lets me know you're part of the conversation without needing to say a word. Another subtle but powerful sign to watch for is frequent confusion or sudden changes in mental clarity. Maybe they forget where they are for a moment, or they repeat the same question 5 times in the same hour. You might notice them staring blankly more often, getting names mixed up, or struggling to follow a simple conversation. Now sure, some memory slips are normal with aging, but when confusion becomes more frequent or seems to come and go suddenly, it can be a sign that the brain is struggling. In many cases, this kind of mental fog can be a signal that the body is preparing for bigger changes, and sometimes it's a sign of the final stretch. It can feel heartbreaking to witness, especially when it's someone you've known your whole life as sharp, witty, or full of stories. But it's important to remember, they're still them. Be patient, speak gently, and don't try to correct every mistake. Sometimes, the kindest thing you can do is just be there. Let's also talk about something that's often dismissed as just being sleepy, excessive fatigue or sleeping much more than usual. If someone starts sleeping 14, 16, even 18 hours a day, or they're awake but barely alert, their body may be conserving energy as part of a natural decline. When energy disappears, and even sitting upright becomes a chore, that's a sign their systems might be quietly shutting down. They might not say anything, but their body is speaking for them. These shifts, social withdrawal, sudden confusion, deep exhaustion, aren't always obvious all at once. But when you start connecting the dots, they often paint a quiet picture of what may be coming. And as hard as that is to face, being aware gives you the chance to make every moment count, to say the things you've been meaning to say, to simply hold a hand and be near. Because sometimes presence is the best medicine. Let's keep going. There are still a couple more signs that many people miss until it's too late. One of the most overlooked signs is a sudden loss of appetite, especially for foods they used to love. Maybe they start pushing their plate away after just a few bites. Maybe they say everything tastes bland, or they simply don't feel hungry. Sometimes they stop drinking enough water too. And while it might seem minor, this change can signal a deeper shift in how the body is functioning. When the systems inside begin slowing down, digestion becomes harder, and the body may naturally reduce its need for food. This isn't about being picky. It's often a quiet signal that the body is preparing to rest. You might try tempting them with their favorite meal or offering smaller portions more often. But if even that doesn't work, don't force it. Instead, focus on comfort, hydration, and small gestures of care. A cup of warm tea, a bite of fruit, a moment of presence. Finally, perhaps the most tender and hardest sign to witness is a quiet letting go. You may notice them saying things like, "I'm tired," or "I've lived a good life." They might speak less, gaze off more, or even begin talking to loved ones who have already passed. Sometimes, there's a peacefulness that settles in, like they know something we don't. This isn't always fear. In many cases, it's acceptance. And while it might break your heart, it's also a moment of truth and love. So, let's take a breath together. If you've noticed even one of these signs in someone you care about, don't panic, but don't ignore it either. These signs aren't meant to frighten you. They're meant to help you see more clearly, to give you the gift of time, reflection, and connection. Because the most powerful thing you can do is be present. Sit beside them, listen, laugh if they want to, cry if you need to, but don't wait. Every moment matters. If this touched you or reminded you of someone, share your story in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. And if you found this video helpful, give it a like and subscribe for more heartfelt, helpful insights like this. Here's to love, to presence, and to making every day count.